Hey guys, it's Dr. Ashley here for Recovery Hacks. I hope you're all having a wonderful week. So, for today's video, I want to talk about a really important concept that is absolutely crucial to the full recovery process when we are looking at emotional and binge eating. Now, I'm sure you're all familiar with the old saying, you can't change what you first don't accept. So, what are we talking about accepting and what are we talking about changing relevant to emotional and binge eating? Well, I think it's safe to say that when somebody is struggling with emotional and binge eating, they're typically turning to food for some type of emotional comfort or soothing in the face of really upsetting or distressing or overwhelming emotions, right? Can you relate to that? You find yourself eating when you're not hungry because you're feeling something. That feeling is uncomfortable. You don't want to feel that way. You really prefer that feeling to go away, and you're looking to food to help you with that process. Okay, so what we're wanting to change is that response that you have to your emotions, right? That when you feel something, rather than saying, go away, I don't like this, you are able to maybe embrace it and work with it and have a different response to that emotion that doesn't include food. So if we look at this saying, you can't change what you first don't accept, what that's telling us then is in order to be able to change how you respond to your emotions so that you're not using food, you first have to accept your emotions. All right. Now, this is much easier said than done, but I'm going to offer you a little hack today that I think will help with the process. So, what do I mean by accepting your emotions? Well, oftentimes when people hear the word accept, they tend to think that what that means they have to do is they have to like it, they have to think it's acceptable, and they have to understand it. And thankfully, none of those have to be true in order for you to accept your feelings. You don't have to like them, you don't have to think they're acceptable, and you don't have to understand them. All right. So, when we're talking about accepting your emotions, what we are talking about is creating a space inside of yourself. Yes, that's total therapy talk, by the way, but creating a space inside of yourself where whatever you are feeling is okay. All right, that doesn't mean you like it, but that you are willing to allow yourself to feel that way because that's organically what's coming up. So you are not judging the emotion as bad or wrong or too much or ridiculous or silly or any of the other judgments that you have. You are allowing that emotion to come forward in whatever way it needs to, with whatever intensity it needs to, and you're not putting a time limit on it. And even if you don't understand why you're feeling that way, you still allow yourself the opportunity to feel it. And a lot of times, what happens is we don't always know why we're feeling something until later. So we kind of have to let ourselves feel it for a while, and then the clarity comes. So accepting your emotions means that you create space inside without judgment. There's a lot of compassion and validation for your emotions, okay? And once you can do that, once you can welcome and embrace all of your emotional self and not try to keep only the good emotions and get rid of the bad emotions, once you can embrace all of them, then you are in a position where you can start to change your emotional responses, your emotional well being, because you won't be turning to food to cope. So, here is your hack for being able to start working on accepting your emotions and your emotional self. And it's two simple words that I want you to start practicing when you notice yourself feeling something. You ready? Those two words are of course. All right. So when you notice yourself feeling something, rather than jumping into the typical response pattern that you might have, which is, why am I feeling this way? What's wrong with me? I'm too sensitive. I'm so dramatic. I'm ridiculous. Nobody else is feeling that way. Any of that sound familiar? Rather than jumping into that typical response pattern that you might have, I want you to instead just try something totally different and respond to yourself with, of course. and start to notice what happens. Notice what happens in your physical body when you respond that way. Notice what happens to your emotional self when you respond that way. Notice what kinds of thoughts you might have, what other kinds of feelings you might start to have, just from those two simple words. Now, if you were to talk to a friend about how you're feeling and they respond with, "What's wrong with you? Why do you always have to feel that way? You're so dramatic." You can imagine how you would feel, pretty invalidated, pretty rotten, right? Now, imagine if you go to that friend and you tell them how you're feeling and they say, "Of course you feel that way. That makes a lot of sense." That feels a lot better, doesn't it? Well, here's the beautiful thing. You can do that for yourself. You can start responding to your emotions in that way. So your hack for this week is two simple words. Of course. All right? Notice how that feels. And as you practice it, leave a comment below the video and let us know how that feels for you. For some of you, this might be really, really interesting and you might find it really helpful. For some of you, you might not find it very helpful, or maybe it's really challenging. Any of your experiences are perfectly fine. We welcome all of them. But leave us a comment and let us know. Let all of us know so that we can all learn together how this is working for each of you. Okay? So this week, you're going to try on the mantra, of course, when you are starting to feel anything. And let's see what happens. All right. I hope you have a wonderful week. I am thinking of you all and rooting for you, and just really look forward to bringing you more education to bring you into full recovery. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.